Good evening. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Trevor Ombija, sitting in for Yvonne Okwara, and this is The Explainer, our top stories tonight.
Polisi ameua watu, nimekuhesabia ya kwanza, uko nani, ya pili, alafu jana sita imekuwa. Ni polisi ina uniform kama ya kwako.
Na, haito linatengenezwaje kama nyinyi ni serikali mara mbili?
Rage of Angata Barikoi killings. Inspector General Police Douglas Kanja orders transfer of senior police officers in the area following the killing of 5 people.
Naweza kutoa watu ambao walikuwa wanaenda kwa kwari kasi, wakawatoa kwa gari, wakawafanya wakalala chini, na hapo wakaua karibu wafanyikazi 6.
Terror attack in Mandera. 5 quarry workers shot dead in Burabor village in Mandera East.
Is BBC speaking as a mouthpiece of the government and the people of Britain? Or what is it that the BBC is doing?
Blood Parliament anger. A section of MPs expressed outrage over BBC documentary on June 25th Gen Z protest police killings. United against President Ruto. Opposition leaders led by former DP Rigathi Gachagua meet to strategize ahead of 2027 elections. Thanks for tuning in. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Njoki Shege. The Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja has vowed to take decisive action against officers accused of using excessive force during a violent clash with protesting residents in Angata Barikoi, which left 5 civilians dead. Touring the troubled area to assess the damage firsthand, Kanja apologized for the police's heavy-handed response and ordered the immediate transfer of the area DCIO and GSU officers. The Inspector General, flanked by local leaders at the peace meeting in the epicenter of the unrest, listened to calls for a speedy resolution to a long-standing land dispute that sparked the deadly demonstrations. So far, 15 people, including 5 police officers, are recovering from injuries. Gatete Njoroge has the details.
Minutes after touching down in Angata Barikoi, Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja, accompanied by his deputy Eliud Lagat and DCI boss Mohamed Amin, came face to face with an angry and grieving community. For over an hour, the top security brass remained inside their chopper as restless residents surrounded the landing site, demanding the presence of Emurua Dikir MP, Johanna Ngeno, before any peace talks could begin. Bowing to public pressure, a second helicopter that had landed earlier with other leaders was quickly dispatched to airlift the MP. And when Ngeno finally stepped out onto the dusty ground, the tension eased, the crowd fell silent, and the peace meeting was allowed to proceed. Residents spoke with raw emotion, recounting the events that claimed 5 lives.
Polisi ameua watu, nimekuhesabia ya kwanza, uko nani, ya pili, alafu jana 6 imekuwa. Ni polisi ina uniform kama ya kwako, ana chitiri, ana AK, anapiga mtu risasi.
Nakuja hapa mnasema nyinyi ni serikali. Kama sio sisi, nyinyi mnakuwa serikali ya nani? Haito linatengenezwaje kama nyinyi ni serikali mara mbili? Inatengenezwa ya kwanza, alafu unaanganisha ingine ya pili. Sasa ni sisi au ni nyinyi?
Leaders at the meeting demanded a thorough probe into the incident and a lasting solution to the land dispute. The land, spanning over 6,000 acres, is now a subject of a protracted court battle, with locals claiming to have ownership documents.
Wakaulizwa na hawa raia, nani aliwaambia nyinyi mtume askari kupiga sisi? County commissioner was not aware of any operation here. County commandant was not aware of any operation here. How do you order an operation of that magnitude without even informing the county commander?
Hii style ya kupiga watu kichwa ilitoka wapi IG? Hii ya kupiga kabisa risasi yenye by the time una pull the trigger you know somebody's life is about to end. And that person is in uniform. IG, don't leave this place without taking action kwa wale officers ambao umeambiwa.
In response to the residents' demands, Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja vowed swift and decisive action against the officers involved in the violence.
Polisi yote ambao ameoperate outside the law anabeba msalaba yake. Tuko pamoja? Anabeba msalaba yake.
Kanja further ordered immediate transfer of senior police officers and GSU officers stationed in the area to allow for calm.
Tuko na DCIO huyo atolewe hapa aende mahali ingine. Wanaamini huyo utoe hapa pereka huko kwako headquarters huko.
The police boss who has ordered DCI Director Mohamed Amin to investigate the deadly confrontation says locals who attacked and injured 5 police officers who are among the 15 people who were injured will also face the law. Miles away from the meeting, a group of Maasai elders insist that the contested piece of land rightfully belongs to them, refusing to back down despite growing tensions.
So we appeal to the government, at least Ministry of Lands, waje chini with this week, watatue issue ya hiyo shamba. Sisi kama wanachama Angata Reform Society, sisi hatutaki vita na mtu yoyote. We are law-abiding citizens.
Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV.
And still on the same, human rights groups are demanding swift investigations into the deaths of 5 people who were shot by police in Angata Barikoi. That call has drawn the support of opposition leaders led by Kalonzo Musyoka and Rigathi Gachagua, who have condemned the killings, calling them part of a worrying pattern of state-backed violence. National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula has asked for a security report in Parliament on Wednesday. Willie Lusige has the details.
Where? Why are you killing people? Why are you killing people?
Tension remains high in Angata Barikoi, Transmara Narok County, as the government moves to restore calm after Monday's deadly clashes that left 5 protesters dead. Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, Amnesty Kenya and other advocacy groups have condemned the killings of 5 people who were shot. More than 15 people were injured, among them 5 police officers in confrontations between armed police officers and locals who were protesting the alleged attempted land grab of 6,000 acres of disputed land. Human rights groups say the incident violates the Constitution and the Code of Conduct for security agencies and is a violation of constitutional rights, including the right to life, dignity and peaceful assembly. IPOA has been urged to launch immediate, impartial investigations and release its findings publicly.
Weapons that were used in the operation yesterday need to be surrendered to the Independent Policing Oversight Authority. The commanding, or rather the orders that were given, the directives that were given in terms of how that protest was to be managed, those that need to be handed over to the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, and the officers need to be identified to IPOA.
Opposition leaders led by Martha Karua, Kalonzo Musyoka and Rigathi Gachagua linked the incident to a broader pattern of state-enabled land grabbing, citing similar cases in Mavoko and Dambibi. They are now calling on the International Criminal Court to intervene. The opposition also accused IPOA and the DPP of shielding officers behind human rights violations and actively participating in cover-up of human rights violations.
Members, and just like
National Assembly Speaker Moses Masika Wetangula has urged leaders to table a preliminary security report in Parliament on Wednesday and visit the region to promote peace.
You're going on recess for a full month. Go to the ground and pacify communities. Go to the ground and speak to our people. One life lost is one too many.
Willie Lusige, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Now, still on security matters, the government has deployed additional police officers to Mandera County following a deadly terror attack that left 5 quarry workers dead. The victims were traveling in a PSV matatu along the Burabor Karo Road when suspected Al-Shabaab militants ambushed them on Tuesday morning. Several survivors sustained serious gunshot wounds. At the time of the attack, the driver was unescorted by security officers despite existing regulation. The matatu was ferrying workers to a nearby quarry in Mandera East. Franklin Wala has more.
The Tuesday morning terror attack unfolded over 30 minutes, targeting locals traveling in a PSV matatu headed for a nearby Kware site. Al-Shabaab militants ambushed the matatu, carrying 22 passengers, along the remote Burabur Karo Kware Road in Mandera East Sub-County. With calculated brutality, the gunmen forced passengers to alight, demanding their phones and identity cards. After several minutes of interrogation, the militants selected their victims and opened fire without warning. 5 people were killed in the gunfire, while 2 others sustained grave injuries. A lucky 13 managed to escape under cover of chaos and have since been accounted for. But the shadow of fear and tragedy looms large over the community.
Na walielezewa juu ya mpangilio ambao umewekwa na security committee ya kwamba kila gari ambayo inapeleka wafanyikazi kwa quarries lazima iwe na escort. Security lazima iwe provided kwa wale ambao wanaenda kwa quarries na wakati wanaendelea kuchimba hayo mawe mpaka tena warudishwe mahali wanakaa hapa Mandera town.
Officers from nearby patrol bases rushed to the scene, but by then, the damage had been done. They arrested the matatu driver and his co-driver, interrogating them about why they traveled without the required security escort.
I want to appeal to every citizen of Mandera County to stay alert.
We're going to be with them during the burial time. We'll support them, we'll take them through this journey. Most of the information the communities give is not being acted on.
A contingent of police officers supported by additional formed units has been deployed to Mandera to pursue the assailants and restore order to the troubled region. Franklin Wala, Citizen TV.
Amnesty International is accusing the Kenyan government of presiding over a violent crackdown on human rights following last year's anti-finance bill protest. The 2024-2025 Amnesty report shows that the state unleashed lethal force that left at least 65 Kenyans dead. The human rights body is now demanding justice for the victims and prosecution of those responsible, as well as an end to the state's escalating repression of dissent.
In June 2024, Kenya's streets erupted in fury over the finance bill. Protesters, young and defiant, faced a brutal response. The National Police Service unleashed deadly force, leaving 65 people dead. A damning report by Amnesty International has laid bare Kenya's deepening crackdown on civil liberties.
Kenya's section outlines a sustained crackdown on civil liberties. This includes the use of excessive and unnecessary force by the National Police Service during the 2024 nationwide protests. Updated figures indicate that at least 65 individuals, Kenyan citizens, were killed. These actions were designed to create a climate of fear for those expressing legitimate public criticism and dissent.
According to Amnesty's just released Global Human Rights Report, Kenya is returning to the dark era, where dissenting opinion was met with deadly force. The report highlights a systematic assault on freedom of expression, with arbitrary arrests and enforced disappearances becoming the new normal. And with IPOA saying it has completed just 22 out of 60 death investigations, critics have poured water on the statement by IPOA, arguing that the agency is a government entity and cannot bite the hand that feeds it. Amnesty is now calling for the prosecution of officers linked to the killings highlighted in the BBC's Blood Parliament documentary. Officers allegedly responsible for the deaths of Gen Z protesters. The government spokesman Isaac Mwaura hit out at the BBC, saying they did a one-sided story.
Those who did the documentary should have sought government opinion on the same so that they can be fair and balanced, and so that we can have a proper story that also shows the two sides of the situation. For example, they show a parliament being burnt, but they don't show who is doing it. They seem to minimize the various the vandalization that happened in Parliament, and going forward, because we cannot have a country that also is led through anarchy.
Now, a section of MPs allied to the Kenya Kwanza government are now demanding a probe into the BBC following the release of its documentary Blood Parliament, a hard-hitting investigation that unmasked security officers allegedly involved in the killing of protesters outside Parliament on June 25, 2024. The MPs claim that the documentary has reopened deep wounds from last year's anti-government demonstrations and is fanning public anger among young people. As Emmanuel Toh now reports, they are urging the nation to move on, insisting that such incidents are not unique to Kenya.
Is there any reason to spill blood on the grounds of Kenya's parliament?
In a swift and fiery rejoinder to the BBC's hard-hitting documentary Blood Parliament, which unmasked security officers allegedly involved in the fatal shooting of at least 3 protesters outside Parliament on June 25, 2024, a section of MPs allied to the Kenya Kwanza administration has dismissed the documentary as a targeted political attack.
But we also moved on.
Leading the charge, National Assembly Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations Vice Chair Abdullahi Bashir accused the BBC of stoking public emotions, insisting Kenyans must move on, arguing that such incidents happen in democracies across the world.
It happens world over. People are killed, our people are killed, we sympathize, we moved on. Even world over.
The Mandera North MP dismissed the BBC documentary as ill-timed and incendiary, accusing it of stoking public anger, and took a swipe at local media outlets for giving it prominence.
And it touches on lack of patriotism also on our part, trying to showcase things done by a foreign media.
His Dagoretti South counterpart John Kiarie also joining the fray, accusing the media house of advancing the interests of a foreign nation in Kenya.
Is BBC speaking as a mouthpiece of the government and the people of Britain? Or what is it that the BBC is doing? Could it be an attempt to untwist this country so that they can rescind on the rider that we put on their training of the Batuk units in Kenya, Mr. Speaker?
The sentiments by the Dagoretti South legislator come barely a year after he was forced to swallow his words that downplayed the intensity of the Gen Z-led demos.
Because even some of the photos that we were seeing out of the streets, I can tell you as a graphic editor that they do not belong to this country. Photos were being taken off the internet and being edited.
The MP will 4 days later retreat in surrender, claiming he made the comments in the heat of the moment. This even as Deputy Minority Whip and Suba North MP Emilio Odhiambo urged compassion for families who lost loved ones, calling for the establishment of a commission of inquiry to deliver justice and closure to victims of police brutality.
You can't stop the media. Somebody else will fuel that anger again. But I would appeal that we set up a select committee to deal with this issue.
The MPs who passed the Finance Bill 2024 against the public outcry celebrated when President William Ruto bowed to pressure, failing to assent the bill into law. Emmanuel Toh, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Tonight, we yet again take a look at a growing unemployment scandal that's left hundreds of hopeful Kenyans stranded, with some in debt after being duped by agencies promising lucrative jobs abroad. The government-led Kazi Maju program, backed by the agencies accredited by the National Employment Authority, are in the spotlight, with Labour Cabinet Secretary Alfred Mutua and NEA officials set to face tough questions in the Senate next week. Citizen TV has spoken to victims who say that they sold land, livestock, and even borrowed heavily, only to be left jobless and hopeless. Many are still waiting for the promised visas and placements that never came.
Bernard Patrick Gathongo, a sweet vendor from Nyeri County, was full of hope back in October 2024. His dream was simple: to transform not just his own life, but that of his entire family. Like many young Kenyans, Bernard pinned his hopes on a job opportunity abroad, a scaffold position in Iraq. The recruitment process was quick, and by November, he had received an offer letter. In December, he signed the contract, convinced that a brighter future was within reach. Bernard was not alone. Calvin Nyamwea, a resident of Kisii County, now lives in hiding, unable to return home after sinking deep into debt. Loans that he took to fund his overseas opportunity have become a burden, all for a job that never materialized.
After kusign offer letter, nikaambiwa niende medical. Medical, 15,000.
Akasema visa zetu siko tayari,
tulipe malipo yote 55,000 ndio tuweze kwenda Qatar.
What followed for him and hundreds of others were months of waiting, unexplained delays, and rising costs, including repeated trips to Nairobi in search of clarity on travel dates.
15 January 2025 nilikaenda kulipa balance ya 40,000. Nikapata jamaa anaitwa Moses Bithi. Akaniambia nilipe hiyo pesa, ameitishwa majina yetu ndio visa zetu zitoke.
Kwa kwanza mimi nilienda huko wakatuambia tununue, ukienda huko anakuambia nunua bag, hii wiki nyingine ni kwenda. Hapo ndio watu wengi wanaruacha kazi.
Bernard and the rest of the team say the assurances kept coming, but so did the red flags. Eventually, those who dared ask questions were told to write formal withdrawal emails with promises of refunds.
Wakati na machi ilisha, nikaona hakuna kazi hapa juu, hakuna na mtu hata mmoja ameenda. Hizo na visa hazijatoka. Hata mimi nilienda nikaandika na baada ya wiki mbili nikarudishwa that 7K. Kwa hivyo wakabaki na 18K, wakaniambia ni medical na hizo na kuna kazi ilifanywa ati 3,000.
For Bernard and many others, the prize was not just financial. Some sold cows, others land in pursuit of a future that was not to be. We reached out to Labour CS Dr. Alfred Mutua for a comment. He told us to wait for Tuesday, when he is set to make submissions at the Senate. The National Employment Authority did not respond to our calls and text messages. Emily Chebet, Citizen TV.
Let's talk about a bit of politics now. Opposition leaders have today held a closed-door meeting in Nairobi to deliberate on the fast approaching election day in 2027. The meeting that brought new entrants into the opposition fold, including former Interior CS Dr. Fred Matiang'i, is viewed as the first step in the making of a new opposition coalition to face off with President William Ruto in the 2027 general elections. Stephen Leto has the details.
The opposition leaders were brought together by their convener and PLP leader Martha Karua to what was touted as a consultative breakfast meeting. Dr. Fred Matiang'i was one of the invited opposition figures, as well as former cabinet secretaries Justin Muturi and Mithika Linturi. The closed-door meeting that lasted hours, sources say, deliberated on the fast approaching electioneering period, with all the leaders agreeing to board the Ruto must go bandwagon. The meeting also mooted plans to sway the youth vote to their advantage as they seek to ride on the Gen Z wave to unseat President William Ruto from power. The current meeting did not have any media invitation, but only released a joint statement signed by all except Dr. Fred Matiang'i, whose signature was missing in the final draft. The statement highlighted concerns about the ongoing recruitment of IEBC commissioners and the commission's chairperson. The statement notes that so far the management of the recruitment process has not met the highest standards for credible elections. The opposition leaders say they hope the IEBC selection panel will put national interest ahead of partisan considerations. Even at the late hour, the selection panel, according to the opposition, can vindicate itself by giving a comprehensive exit report and nomination of credible Kenyans as commissioners and chairperson of the commission. The statement notes that before the appointment of the new IEBC office, there shall be consultation and concurrence on the final list of appointments of IEBC commission. The statement further reads that the broad-based government cannot purport to consult among themselves and therefore must consult the opposition. Stephen Leto, Citizen TV.
Now, the Cabinet has approved the Finance Bill 2025, paving the way for the Money Bill to fund the 2025-2026 financial year. Ayub Abdikadir reports on some of the amendments sought in the bill, though it is not out in its entirety, with the members of the public eager to scrutinize its contents and coming against the backdrop of growing public unease over rising tax measures and an economic downturn.
The green light given to the Finance Bill 2025 by Cabinet comes with memories of the anti-tax protests that led to the death of its predecessor in 2024. With countrywide demonstrations that were about defiance in the face of punitive tax proposals that were forced through a biddable parliament beholden to the executive despite a public outcry.
We commit this Cabinet and the agenda that we have
for the deliberations in this cabinet.
According to a cabinet dispatch seen by Citizen TV, the bill seeks to seal loopholes to enhance financial efficiency in relation to tax expenditures. In a bid to cool public angst over rising taxes, the bill, according to the dispatch, seeks to amend Income Tax Act, Value Added Tax Act, Excise Duty Act, and the Tax Procedures Act in a movement to seal legal gaps that necessitate revenue collection and lessening tax disputes. Though the National Treasury has not made public details of the money bill, the communique by Cabinet states that critical changes will be made to support small businesses that were the backbone of President William Ruto's campaigns and who have felt disregarded by a regime that promised to sort out their issues. They will be allowed to fully deduct the cost of everyday tools and equipment in the year of purchase, thereby eliminating unnecessary delays in accessing tax relief. According to the Cabinet communication, all retirees will now be fully tax exempt, ensuring dignity for Kenya's senior citizens after retirement. To curb challenges faced by employees in seeking refunds from the Kenya Revenue Authority, in the bill, employers will be required to automatically apply all eligible tax reliefs and exemptions when calculating pay-as-you-earn taxes. With the eagerly awaited contents of the bill still not out, finance bills under President William Ruto's administration have become an avenue for Kenyans to put the government under sharp scrutiny, emboldening a citizenry holding up under taxation pressure, economic stagnation, and households faced with stark economic choices. Ayub Abdikadir, Citizen TV.
All right, on that note, the Explainer takes a quick break. We're back with much more in just a bit, so don't go too far. One year after the Mai Mahiu floods tragedy, government accused of neglecting survivors of the tragedy.
Part of a historic milestone at the Cooperative University of Kenya. Join us for the installation of our second Chancellor, Dr. Bernard William Chitunga, graced by the chief guest, His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya. It all happens this Wednesday, 30th April at the Graduation Square main campus, Karen, live on Citizen TV from 10 a.m.
Craving an extraordinary escape? View Travel invites you to breathtaking Cape Town. Starting from $1,300 per person sharing, enjoy 4 nights with breakfast plus Cape Town City Tour, cable car ride up Table Mountain, full-day Peninsula Tour, scenic Chapman's Peak Drive, Cape of Good Hope, photo stops at Bokap and Muizenberg, Constantia Wineland Estate Tour. View Travel, your gateway to Cape Town's wonders. Visit viewtravel.com or call and WhatsApp 0703-254-254. View Travel. Dream. Explore. Discover.
In the heart of Kenya's fertile farmlands, our story begins. Harvested with care, our maize is transformed using state-of-the-art milling technology, ensuring every grain is perfect for your table. Crafted by hand, prepared with love, and shared with joy. From farm to family, every bite is a celebration of togetherness and moments that matter most. Mfalme Ugali, pure taste, pure value, from farm to plate.
When pain strikes, don't let it kill the good vibe.
Are you okay? No, I've got cramps. Try this Maramoja Advance. It works so fast. You'll be back to spinning in no time.
Get that advanced relief with Maramoja Advance. And get back to the good vibes.
Maramoja Advance. Back to the good vibes.
Haro, ati kufika mnafika na msimami. Sasa nitapika nini cha haraka? Unga kabagara chap chap.
Aya, kwani kumhendaje mama?
Mbaki hapo kuuliza.
Ungoji.
Ai, huyo ni sasa amepita nduki
Nduki.
Uzuri wa Raha Premium Kavagara, dakika 5 tu ugali imeiva.
Ati mtoke kwangu kama hamjakula.
Haishosh kwa nini imeiva haraka aje?
Kuletea Kavagara nayo.
Kila kitu kiko sawa na Raha Premium.
And we need 2 Royco cubes because iron gives you strength to sukuma yourself to be the best you can be.
Sukuma na Royco, kula sukuma na Royco, sukuma wiki na Royco.
Take them back to school with ease. As schools reopen, we will continue to partner with you to keep their dreams alive. Pay school fees for free at any Equity branch or agent. Buy a banker's check at 100 shillings. Access school fees loans by dialing *247*6# on any network via Equity mobile app or Equitel. Pay for shopping by dialing *247# via Equity mobile app, Equitel, Equity card, Equity Visa, MasterCard or Amex cards. Take them back to school with ease. Equity, your back-to-school partner.
Thanks for staying with the Explainer. Now, thousands of teachers under the Teachers Service Commission, that's TSC, are staring at fresh uncertainty of access of comprehensive medical cover as their current insurance contract nears expiry in November with no clear alternative under the new Social Health Authority, that is SHA schemes. Documents tabled in Parliament suggest that the existing private insurer arrangement will not transition into the new framework, raising fears of disrupted healthcare access for the teachers nationwide. Brenda Wanga has the details.
It is now emerging that the unraveling of the Teachers Service Commission's medical cover began as early as last year. Documents tabled in Parliament reveal that TSC had raised concerns with both the National Treasury and the Social Health Authority, SHA, over the fate of its contract with Minet in the Teachers Medical Insurance Consortium. In a letter dated December 18th and addressed to the then Principal Secretary for Health, Harry Kimtai, the TSC sought clarity from the ministry on what mechanisms SHA had put in place to onboard teachers into a new comprehensive medical scheme starting January this year. The letter outlined the scope of the existing Minet cover, which included inpatient and outpatient services, dental, optical, maternity care, local air and road evacuations, international travel coverage, and last expense benefit, among others. A package that had shielded teachers from the out-of-pocket expenses for over a decade. This inquiry came in the wake of a directive from the National Treasury to terminate the current comprehensive medical cover, a move that, if implemented without a proper alternative, would leave thousands of teachers vulnerable and uninsured. In response, the then acting CEO of SHA, Robert Ingasira, informed TSC that it was not possible to onboard the teachers at such short notice. It also noted that the proposed budget of 10.3 billion shillings was out of reach for SHA. A letter from Treasury addressed to TSC further sealed the deal for the teachers' comprehensive health insurance. Treasury PS Chris Kipto told the Teachers Commission that aside from the limited resources, structures to operationalize the Public Officers Medical Scheme Fund were not yet established, making it impossible to onboard teachers into a comprehensive insurance cover. The comprehensive insurance cover for teachers has been in effect for nearly 10 years and is part of the Teachers CBA of 2017 to 2021. Teachers forfeited their medical allowance for the comprehensive health insurance cover. The 3-year contract expires in November this year. SHA has maintained that the teachers will be catered for under the 3 SHA funds based on their 2.75% contributions. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
Mai Mahiu survivors are decrying neglect 1 year after the April 2024 floods tragedy that claimed the lives of more than 60 people and left hundreds displaced. A memorial service was held in Mai Mahiu town in memory of the departed souls, as Marianne Nyambura reports.
Religious leaders,
Grieving families and the community gathered in Mai Mahiu town for a memorial service to honor victims of the disaster that hit the area a year ago. The event stirred bittersweet memories of lost loved ones.
Mimi wakati hiyo mkasa ya maji ilikuja, sikuweza kupata mtoto wangu mmoja mwenye hata siku ya leo hajawahi patikana. Tuliahidiwa tutatafutiwa hao watoto na sikuona hata siku moja. Maisha imekuwa magumu sana. Juu lazima ukipoteza mtoto kama huyo lazima ukue ukimkumbuka.
Many survivors are however disgruntled, claiming that the government has neglected them in their hour of need. Access to basic necessities such as food, water and shelter remains a struggle.
Tuliahidiwa mahali pa kukaa. Sasa tulikuwa na goja. Hata tulikuwa nafikiri watakuja kesho. Sasa tunalia watukubuke. Sababu tuko na shida.
Si watu wa kukomboa wenye walipita wakirutwa hiyo maji. Tukagongwa. Tukapitia njia ya uchungu na Mungu akatuokoa tuko hai. Haki Mungu awasaidie mtusaidie. Serikali iingilie. Tunaomba serikali yetu iingilie.
Religious leaders in Naivasha have called out the government for failing to honor its promises of resettlement and compensation for the affected families.
We see no tangible action. The promised assessments have not been carried out. The land remains unsafe and our people continue to suffer. The government's assurance of compensation for rent and the repair of roads and bridges have not been fulfilled.
Their concerns come amid alarming reports of deteriorating mental health among survivors, some of who struggle to cope with unresolved trauma. The tragedy occurred in the early hours of April 29th last year when a blocked railway culvert in Kijabe burst, unleashing floods that swept through several villages. Miriam Nyambura, Citizen TV.
Now, Kenya's role in Sudan's ongoing civil war is once again under the spotlight. The Senate Committee on National Security and Foreign Relations has questioned Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi about Kenya's involvement with the Rapid Support Forces, the RSF militia, especially after the RSF launched a political movement on Kenyan soil. While the government previously defended hosting the RSF, it now insists it does not endorse the activities. Mudavadi has also been put on the spot for snubbing parliamentary committees, as Melita Oletenges reports.
President William Ruto's government has faced criticism over its perceived ties with Sudan's paramilitary group Rapid Support Forces. The RSF's establishment of a political entity, the Sudan Founding Alliance, and the unveiling of a draft constitution in Nairobi have been interpreted by the Sudanese army as an infringement on Sudan's sovereignty, accusing Kenya of providing a platform for the RSF to form a government in exile. In a letter to the National Assembly of Kenya and various embassies, Malik Agar, the Vice President of Sudan's Transitional Sovereignty Council, condemned the RSF's meetings in Nairobi as efforts to create a parallel government, undermining Sudan's sovereignty and threatening regional peace. In response, CS Mudavadi now says Kenya only offered a platform for talks among Sudanese factions but did not endorse any outcomes.
People who are involved in conflict in their own countries to be holding press conferences here. I doubt that I would finish a press conference speaking in Uganda, for instance.
Kenya's position has been that bring the parties to the table. Let them be brought to the table. And by them coming here was to get them to talk.
This marks a notable shift in Kenya's stance, contrasting sharply with earlier remarks that seemed to support the RSF's presence. Back in February, CS Mudavadi had described the RSF's proposed leadership roadmap in Nairobi as compatible with Kenya's role in peace negotiations.
When did these RSF people stop being our friends? I've seen you have abandoned them today.
International efforts to mediate the conflict have faced challenges. A recent conference in London aimed at establishing a ceasefire collapsed amid disagreements among Arab states accused of supporting the RSF. Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV.
Now, the government has suspended all gambling advertisements for 30 days in a move to curb irresponsible betting and protect vulnerable groups, especially minors. Betting Control and Licensing Board, that's BCLB chairperson Jane Mwikali Makau, cited growing concerns over the surge in gambling activities and misleading advertising. Now, the directive affects betting, gaming, lottery prize competitions and related promotions. Willie Lusige has the details.
On Tuesday, the Betting Control and Licensing Board, BCLB, announced the immediate suspension of gambling advertisements across all media platforms for 30 days, citing growing concerns about the proliferation of gambling activities and misleading advertising. According to BCLB chairperson Jane Mwikali Makau, some gambling promoters are increasingly portraying gambling as a legitimate investment opportunity and a shortcut to wealth creation. She noted this trend has led to serious socioeconomic consequences affecting individuals, families and communities, saying, and I quote, "Of particular concern is the rampant airing of gambling advertisements during the watershed period between 5 a.m. to 10 p.m., exposing vulnerable groups, especially minors, to gambling-related addiction," end of quote. The directive targets all licensed gambling operators and applies to every form of advertisement and promotion, including TV and radio adverts, social media, and outdoor advertising such as billboards and branded transport. Also affected are SMS, email campaigns, push notifications, celebrity endorsements, and influencer marketing. During the suspension, all licensed gambling operators and promoters must submit the advertisements to the Kenya Film Classification Board KFCB for vetting, classification and approval as required by law. They must also strictly comply with all legal and regulatory frameworks governing gambling and related advertising in Kenya. Willie Lusige, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
The Central Organization of Trade Unions Board has walked back on last week's declaration by the umbrella union's long-serving Secretary General Francis Atwoli that he would exit the leadership. The COTU board now says that Atwoli, who has served for 24 years as Secretary General, will be defending his position in the elections scheduled for 2026.
COTU board members say their long-serving Secretary General is going nowhere and that he will be defending his seat next year. The board dismissing sentiments expressed by Dr. Francis Atwoli on Saturday during the stewards shop meeting, his remarks stating that he may be leaving COTU soon.
Sisi pia kama board members wa COTU tayari tumeshamalizana na mambo ya kuendorse Dr. Atwoli 2026 election kama kiongozi wetu.
On Saturday, Atwoli, who has served as COTU Secretary General for 24 years, had indicated that he will leave office soon.
COTU is not me. And COTU in Africa, let nobody cheat you, is one of the most powerful trade union organizations. Powerful. Kama COTU spearheaded for the first African, in Africa, the whole continent, kuchukua International Labour Organization kama Director General. Sio mchezo. Mimi nataka kuambia nyinyi sio mbali sana because wale nilipata hapa hawako hapa mbele. Hivi karibuni I will exit with all this group.
The board today indicating that Atwoli's position may not be his position after all and that his stay will run on.
So before someone assumes that there's a vacancy in COTU, he should have sought some clarifications from him. How soon is soon? Our understanding is there's no vacancy and we are going to vote him back.
The COTU board's media briefing, convened 2 days after Atwoli's announcement of a planned exit, seemingly meant to put an end to any speculation that the workers' umbrella body is about to undergo a change in leadership.
All right, The Explainer takes another quick break, but here's what's coming up. Treasury to explore alternative sources of funding for its 4.2 trillion shillings budget without the International Monetary Fund's support.
Ready to step into a world of opportunities? Welcome to Machakos Institute of Technology, a global leader in TVET, offering skill-based courses designed to keep you ahead in today's job market. Our affordable and flexible learning options make MIT your gateway to vast career opportunities. Our campus is equipped with state-of-the-art labs, hostels, qualified trainers, Wi-Fi, and investment in extracurricular activities. Our May 2025 intake is ongoing. Enroll today. Call 0722-973-271 or apply online through our website www.mit.ac.ke. Master the training, experience the rewards.
Kazi gani tena hii?
Hebu kwanza tuhakikishe insurance yako ni halali. Wewe unachukua tu karatasi unabandika Unajua hii sasa ni police case wewe. Shuka.
Ashiki simu.
The customer you're trying to reach is not available.
Don't find yourself in such situations. Verify your insurance sticker before you drive. Dial *352# or download Bima Yangu app to verify. Usibahatishe. Thibitisha pap.
KCSE graduates, launch your future, achieve your dreams. Train at Jordan College of Technology, which is a brand trusted by employers locally and internationally. We train highly marketable courses in engineering, journalism, ICT, catering, tourism, hair and beauty, medical, fashion and interior design, business, short courses and driving. We take pride in providing quality education, state-of-the-art facilities, comprehensive programs, top-notch faculty, career support and vibrant campus life. Apply now for our ongoing May Grand Intake and train with the best. Visit us at our new ultra-modern campus, Jordan Towers, Thika Town. Jordan College of Technology, the leading TVET and medical institution in Kenya.
Zaidi na mavuno. Mbinu yetu maalum ya mazao na udongo ina virutubishi 12 muhimu, hivyo kuongeza mavuno kwa zaidi ya 30%. Mbolea ya mavuno inaboresha rutuba ya udongo, hurekebisha asidi na kusawazisha pH kwa mazao yenye afya. Ikiwa imejaa virutubishi vidogo, mbolea ya mavuno huongeza ladha, umbile, rangi na lishe ya mazao yako. Imethibitishwa kufanya vyema katika hali zote za hewa na kutoa matokeo ya muda mrefu. Tumia mbolea iliyochanganywa kutoka kwa mavuno pekee na sio mbolea iliyonyooka kama vile DAP na urea, kwani itaunguza udongo wako.
Welcome to Boma Mabati Factory, the 2024 award winner in roofing solutions. All our products come with warranty and are KEBS certified. Be part of our many satisfied customers by visiting us to enjoy great discounts. Boma Mabati Factory, Mabati Poa, near Boma. The County Government of Kilifi, with the approval of His Excellency Governor Honorable Gideon Mungaro, has announced a 100% waiver on all interest and penalties related to outstanding land rates and single business permits. Property owners in Kilifi County are encouraged to take advantage of this waiver period, which runs from May 1st, 2025 to May 31st, 2025, provided that the full principal amounts are paid. To participate, please obtain your invoice from the Sub-County Revenue Office located in your property area and make your payment via cash deposit or banker's check to our KCB account. Please be aware that once the waiver period ends, the county government will pursue all necessary legal actions to recover unpaid rates, interest and penalties, including the repossession of properties. Tulipe ushuru, tujenge Kilifi.
Chinos from 5,600 shillings. Only core span yarn with stretch. Pre-washed, color fast and shrink proof so they last longer. The only chinos to choose.
Karibuni sana. Thank you so much for coming.
Hey, that shirt has seen better days. Mara, it's your faded shirt. Mara, it's your faded roof. Look at our roof. From Mabati Rolling Mills. Still as vibrant after all these years. Unlike your shirt.
Yes, MRM steel roofing tiles are made using advanced color coating technology that makes the color last.
The tiles are even wider, so you use less pieces.
Which saved us money. So you mean Mabati Rolling Mills saves you money?
Yeah!
Steal the show with versatile, oriental and elegantile steel roofing tiles. Backed by a genuine warranty only from Mabati Rolling Mills. Visit our dealership or call us today at 0788 202020.
Let's talk about some business news now. As the government prepares to unveil its expenditure plan for the financial year 2025-2026, the Treasury will be forced to find alternative sources of funding for the 4.2 trillion shillings budget without the International Monetary Fund support, that is the IMF. This follows the ending of the Kenya IMF program earlier on this month. Although Kenya has opened negotiations with the International Monetary Fund, Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi notes that in the coming financial year, the National Treasury has not factored in any support from the IMF. Jimmy Mbogo has more.
Kenya's move to abandon the 9th review of the International Monetary Fund IMF program saw the country miss out on a 109.4 billion shillings disbursement. 13.9 billion shillings of which was meant for balance of payment stabilization.
It was mutually agreed between the two of us, the IMF and the government of Kenya, that we drop the 9th review and embark on the next program. Now that discussion has already kicked off, has started in earnest, and actually I've written a letter, formal request, as is usually the practice for a successor program.
The CS saying that the negotiation will factor in current global economic circumstances.
The good thing or the good news with this is that now this is a program that we will, as a government, negotiate. The other one was negotiated by the previous government. Now this one we will negotiate, and we'll negotiate it within the confines of what is happening in the global economy and also back at home.
As the negotiations are still at very early stages, CS Mbadi says government is likely to go at it alone in the coming financial year 2025-2026, but remains optimistic that in the next program Kenya will receive higher disbursement from the institution following a quarter review by the IMF board.
You see, IMF, we have also been repaying, so that opens up some space for us. 3, we had a facility of exceptional access last year, which we didn't exploit, we didn't use because the markets opened and we went to the market and managed our liability. So that is also available. And again, I want to repeat, IMF main objective is not to give loans.
Mbadi has reiterated the balancing act that the government has to do with the country's entire debt portfolio to avoid debt restructuring.
How best can we manage the liability in a way that does not put pressure on either China or Kenya without debt restructuring? Because debt restructuring is out of question. The moment you get into debt restructuring, you get to other complicated issues.
Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Microsoft East Africa has launched a bold AI strategy that places skills development at the heart of its plan to drive meaningful adaptation of artificial intelligence across the region. The tech giant is shifting the conversation from simply using tools like GPT to creating real economic value through widespread responsible AI integration. Dennis Otieno has more.
Speaking during a recent engagement, Phyllis Migwi, country manager for Microsoft East Africa, emphasized the importance of tailoring AI to Kenya's fast-evolving digital environment.
Now, in the era of AI, that goes beyond just pushing for adoption of GPT, of general-purpose technology, right now AI, to how do we actually drive impact economically. So if you look at the Kenyan society, we are very fast adopters of technology. So we are having conversations about AI. Our focus specifically has been how do we skill people? And then beyond just skilling people, how do we put the right technology in front of the right people?
According to the 2023 Oxford Insights AI Readiness Index, Kenya is currently ranked 6th in Africa in terms of AI readiness and 4th in sub-Saharan Africa when it comes to digital economy development, a reflection of the country's growing digital capability. But Migwi warns that these gains can only be sustained if skilling keeps pace.
If they're already using it, we need to then have the policies and the structures to, 1, set the right guardrails, but also 2, to make sure we are investing and we are preparing the ecosystem within which they are going to operate.
Security and responsible governance are also key pillars of Microsoft's approach. Migwi noted that Microsoft works closely with other organizations to help them set up their own internal governance frameworks before rolling out AI solutions. In March this year, Kenya launched its national AI strategy, outlining the government's commitment to positioning the country as a regional leader in AI research and development.
We talk about a high youth population in Kenya and across Africa. If we don't get them ready, then we miss out on the opportunities. Skilling is outlined in the strategy as one of the foundational elements. And if you asked the question, what do we need to do? We have a beautiful strategy. We now need to implement it.
Dennis Otieno, Citizen TV.
Now, a section of scientists are calling for the expedited resolution of court cases involving genetically modified food crops, saying that the delays are hampering efforts to improve the country's nutrition and food security. The professionals drawn from various hospitals and health institutions argue that biotechnology is essential, not only in developing advanced medicine, but also in enhancing nutrition through increased food production. This comes after the Court of Appeal in March this year overturned the government's decision to lift the ban on genetically modified organisms.
We've had a lot of discussions where GMOs have been linked with cancer, but I like to state clearly that the causes of cancer are well known to us. It is all about our lifestyle decisions, the kind of foods that we eat.
This is the area of the profession where they are already consuming GM products, GM insulin, the GM drugs that are expressed in GMO plants, medicinal plants, and even the recent, the vaccines.
What we are getting from the professionals is that the main problem that still has some people opposing the use of genetic modification is communication and awareness. And we have agreed on collaborative mechanisms for reaching out to the public going forward.
Now, a new public-private partnership is set to benefit over 1,200 young Kenyans by equipping them with practical skills, entrepreneurship training, and direct job placement support, launched by the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, that is KEPSA, in collaboration with other partners. The project aims to bridge the gap between school and the job market. The project will give TVET graduates access to demand-driven, industry-aligned training, increasing their chances of securing employment or starting their own businesses.
The tripartite of us who are here have an absolute business to ensure that our young people acquire and continue to acquire the needed skills so that as these industries, at least the ones I witnessed in China, come into this country, they have the skilled manpower who are going to babysit these industries, because skilled manpower is the most important. HR is the most important component of an industry.
I can reiterate that 60% of the young people of the world reside in Africa. And so if we skill them, then we'll have skilled for the world. It's not only for Kenya, but we'll also have skilled for the world. As the other continents, especially the Western world ages, they'll be looking for young people who are skilled. So we want skilled people for our industries, but we're also skilling for the world.